Fani Willis gets completely shredded by a former prosecutor who actually has some court experience, Andrew McCarthy, who is one of my favorite thinkers on law. Welcome to Doug in Exile. This is where all the happy patriots are. And Fani Willis is neither happy nor is she a patriot. So let's go.
Well, an evidentiary hearing is scheduled to begin on Thursday, and we could see Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis testify in her own defense.
Please, we're hoping she has to testify because then I'll get new thumbnail material. The reason why this is so sweet is because when she started this whole court case, she is the one who pushed to have it televised, because she thought it was going to be all about her all-star career looking good as they march in Trump and embarrass him and make him look bad. And it was Trump, the defense, that were trying to say, you know, are you sure you have to put this on TV? And she was like hoping for ratings, hoping to get her career established. And now she's going on TV and they'll be showing it live of her testifying in court, defending herself. This is Andy McCarthy. He's a former federal prosecutor. I've followed him for years. He's brilliant. I'm surprised he's on Fox News. If Fani Willis does get disqualified, who gets this case? Does it go away? Does it go to a subordinate in her office? Does it go to someone else? What happens? Andy McCarthy would know.
Well, you know, it depends, Ainsley, on whether you make the leap from there needs to be a disqualification to that the disqualification may somehow have corrupted the fundamental or instigation of the investigation and the case.
But as far as I understand it, it's about the instigation of the case. Is that what is the disqualifier? That is, did she take up the case to get money? Because it wouldn't be enough if it was just that she had an affair.
If they can get to that point, they have a chance to get the indictment dismissed. That's a heavy lift.
So it's going to be much harder to prove that she actually got involved in the case to make the money. This is why they have to get the emails. They have to subpoena everything that she's got, all of her communications, including with the White House, because that's where you start finding, in discovery, that's where you find all that motive stuff.
So probably the case goes to subordinate prosecutors in the office. It's important to remember she's already disqualified from prosecuting one person in the case because of ethical violations during the investigation. So this isn't her first rodeo.
Okay, so if it goes to a subordinate prosecutor in her office, we probably know how they feel about this. Would it delay? Would this happen after the election?
Yeah, well, you know, it's hard to make any assessment of that because there's no trial date here.
How can you know if it's going to be moved when they haven't set the court date yet? That's how screwed up this one is because of Fani Willis. Before they can ever get to a court date, it's already unraveled. So there's not even a court date to argue over.
They still haven't had like the major motions in the case. 4 people have pled guilty, but they've pled guilty to very minor charges. And I think that underscores what a lot of us have been saying from the beginning, which is that this case should have been brought, if at all, as a series of small cases. And she tried to wrap it into this big RICO.
She wanted the big show and the big spectacle. And they thought that all of these 18 defendants would all turn and flip. Let's say more than 4. There's 4 of them that flipped now. If they could have gotten 16 of them to turn, they'd have gotten all of their email messages and all of their cooperation, and they didn't cooperate. So most of them did not help Fani.
And now the allegation is, did she do that in order to churn the enterprise of bringing this case so that it would generate more money, since she, this is the allegation, was indirectly the recipient of the money through the people she hired?
That gives another reason. You go like, well, why would she bring in 18 defendants? She would go, well, she needed to bring, her and her buddy Nathan had to charge for hours to go through all 18 defendants that would rack up all their legal fees, and she would benefit more. So it goes to point a little bit to motive where it could show that she was corrupt.
Okay, what about Donald Trump asking the Supreme Court to intervene? He's claiming absolute immunity.
Yeah, well, I think that, you know, the interesting thing here is it was very foolish for the prosecutor, Jack Smith, to try to bypass the normal appellate process as he did weeks ago.
These are Democrats making errors because they pushed their politics. They were so lusty and so desperate that even Jack Smith was pushing so hard that he ended up burning himself. That's what all these stories are about. Democrats that end up exposing their weak hands, because politics makes you act different than when you're pursuing the truth or law or sound doctrine. You start acting nuts.
When he asked the Supreme Court to take this case before the D.C. Circuit could hear it, because now he's in the position of going back to the Supreme Court and saying, never mind, you don't need to weigh in here because I'm very happy with the decision I got from the D.C. Circuit. So they may find that a bit odd.
A bit odd or a bit political.
Otherwise, I think the court is going to be reluctant to take this case.
But even if they don't take it, they're saying, look, this stuff is political. It doesn't belong in a court. I'm Doug in Exile.